What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. I hope you guys are doing well, but before we officially get into the video, I want to thank you guys so much for the great amount of support. Like, this channel literally is impossible without you guys. If it wasn't for you guys clicking that subscribe button, smashing the like button, just leaving any feedback down below in the comment section, positive or negative, for me to be motivated to continue to make content for you amazing people, or just also be motivated to make better content, really up the quality of my content. That's why the post-game video or recap video came kind of late last night, because I'm really just trying to really improve the quality of the content for you guys, really adding background music and just trying to do my best, because you guys deserve the best content possible. And just shout to my members, of course, or just everyone that supports this channel. You guys are amazing. I try to make sure everyone has an equal input, or everyone feels like they're included in this channel. But members, you guys know who you are. I'll put it up on the screen. Just shout out to you guys. You guys are absolutely amazing. This video was actually suggested by a member. You know who you are. Amazing video idea. Most underrated players in the NBA. And you guys are probably wondering, what makes a player underrated? I always think of it, maybe they play for a small market. Maybe they don't have the flashiest of style of play. They don't put up big time stats. They never really get this type of publicity out there in the world, by the big time media of First Take and stuff like that. Even though I don't really watch First Take, that's just me though. It's literally just a bunch of talking heads. But go ahead, watch First Take. It's up to you if you want to go out there and watch First Take. First things first, I'm just personally not a big fan of those shows when it comes to ESPN, or of course Colin Cowherd. Sometimes I watch, sometimes he has good takes, sometimes he has horrible takes. But we are human. We're gonna have terrible takes. Sometimes they're just absolutely outrageous, just for everyone in the world. Everyone could have a terrible take. But yes, most underrated NBA players, in my opinion. I try to think outside the box as much as possible. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and let's get right into it. So I'm gonna be starting off with Kelan Johnson. I think Kelan Johnson is one of the most fascinating players in the NBA. Of course, he was drafted 29th overall by the San Antonio Spurs in the 2019 NBA draft. What a steal coming out of Kentucky. And I was really surprised he fell that much, because I was this dude has so much potential. Great character. He's just built like a freaking tank. This dude can just bully you down low in the paint. He hit some wild shots at Kentucky. His ability to get to the rack with their strength. He's literally kind of an old school player, but he also brings things to today's NBA that translated really well coming out of Kentucky. We know the Spurs are really good at developing young talent, or just developing talent in general. Of course, Tony Parker, who went later, Manu Ginobili, Kawhi Leonard, they just do a really good job. They're we don't care about what you can't do, tell me what you can do, and we're gonna play you throughout your strengths. And they do a really good job just really executing throughout their player strengths. But you take a look at Kelan Johnson, he's kind of fallen off towards the end, but he is a young basketball player. You have to keep that in mind. But at one point he was averaging 14 points per game. Now he's averaging a little under 13. But I actually do think he's extremely underrated. You take a look at Kelan Johnson, he is a 6'5" power forward. Of course, DeMar DeRozan does play the 3 for the San Antonio Spurs. A big reason they were winning basketball games. At one point they kind of did fall off. They were in the playoff race. Sadly, they're starting to fall out of it, because you always want to see a team like the Spurs succeed, in my opinion, because they're just an amazing run organization. There's really no reason to hate the Spurs, unless you're a Heat fan and you got your heart broken losing in one of those finals. But you guys also hit that amazing shot by Ray Allen. But look at Kelan Johnson's game. 6'5", built like a brick house. He could take to the rack just with ease. Great athleticism, doesn't give up on a play. He's really good at boxing out, corralling rebounds, and he's even improved as a 3-point shooter. I actually made a video on Kelan Johnson. He really popped out in the bubble. That's where some people, or at least he got some publicity, but then he kind of went under the radar, because the Spurs aren't really the biggest to market. But we're talking about an underrated passer of the basketball. He does still have some ways to go as a shooter, even though he really did show some good flashes with some decent volume earlier in the season. But even consistently throughout the whole season, he is shown to be a good defensive player. For Greg Popovich to start a young player of Kelan Johnson, only his second year in the league, 6'5" power forward, to really trust him against these taller types of players is really impressive. He's very mature, he's very coachable. Like I said, he's good at getting to the rack, getting to his spots. He does the little things out there on the basketball floor that really result in winning basketball. I love Kelan Johnson. What a steal for the San Antonio Spurs. He literally does everything out there. You gotta love Kelan Johnson. He even had a game, I believe that he had 20 rebounds. Just His motor is insane. He does not give up on a play. Kelan Johnson makes this list as the very first player. No specific order, just throwing them out there. Next up, we have Mikal Bridges. Of course, Mikal Bridges actually was a lottery pick being taken by the Philadelphia 76ers back in the 2018 NBA draft out of Villanova. And I was a big fan of Mikal Bridges. That was actually someone I wanted to draft. The big knock on him is like, what is his upside? This man played many years in college. He's not like a Knox. Some people thought Knox was the next Paul George or Tobias Harris coming out because they saw the raw potential of maybe he has some things off the dribble. He's athletic. He might be like one of the best, like good superstars, next All-Stars. But I think NBA scouts really overthink like Mikal Bridges, 3-and-D player, he's going to translate right away to the NBA. It's just that these NBA scouts are so desperate for a superstar that they don't take a look at a guy of Mikal Bridges and be like, okay, he may not be this all-star, he may not be this superstar, but he could really be serviceable and a really good starter for a very long time and just be extremely solid. So yes, people did have questions about him like Mikal Bridges, can he perform off the dribble? Can he be an all-star? But I would have been okay with getting a very solid player, Mikal Bridges, and he hasn't even been solid. He's been a good basketball player. His efficiency from downtown, his efficiency overall, long wingspan, his ability to really guard or defend the passing lanes, really time the passing lanes. He's proven to hit big time shots down the stretch. He's athletic. He can get to the rack. I guess he does have some ways to go as a ball handler, really performing off the dribble. But if he could just be this 3-and-D type of player that they compared him to, like coming out of college of a Robert Covington, he's going to be all right. But he's even better than Robert Covington in my opinion. But we're talking about one of the best on-ball defenders. You could really have trust in him to guard the opposing team's best player, like on the basketball team. He is just electric. He has a great motor. He's a true winner. Of course, winning a national championship with Jay Wright, and it's just such a great fit with mentally tough players over there of a Chris Paul, with a Devin Booker. They really need something huge defensively, and Mikal Bridges really produces that. And you just take a look at his stats. He's literally one of the most underrated players in the league. It's just because he's not crazy flashy and he's just very solid, and he's going to be good for a very long time for the Phoenix Suns. Moving on, we have Chris Boucher, who of course came out of Oregon. He was known as this kind of like project. You could say he still is a project in a way. He's a young basketball player. The reason why I think he's not really getting big time publicity, he kind of was, but it's still not like big time or the credit he really deserves. You know, he's going to be in the running probably for most improved player, but I don't think he's going to go on to win it. I do think it's going to be Julius Randle of the New York Knicks. But you look at Chris Boucher, he is this really lanky dude. He's not the strongest in the world, but he has an over 7-foot wingspan. He stands at over 6'8". Of course, he plays the power forward position for the Toronto Raptors. He's a stretch 4, but he's not the stretch 4 that can't play defense. This is someone that's athletic, can run up and down the floor. He's shooting nearly 40% from downtown. He can get to the charity stripe. He's a good passer of the basketball. He's a good defensive player. And I know the Raptors have been disappointing this season, but he definitely has been a big time bright spot for the future, because we know Pascal Siakam really hasn't been like what Toronto Raptors fans wanted him to be. I never thought he was going to be this number 1 option. But one of the worst things that happened to Pascal Siakam was the NBA Finals, winning that championship. You know, there was really pressure taken off of him due to having a Kawhi Leonard on the team. But Chris Boucher, great character, hard-working basketball player. He thrives like down the stretches of games as well. He is literally not afraid, reading the passing lanes, really making the key basketball play. It's so much fun to watch Chris Boucher. If you really enjoy watching basketball and you enjoy watching these unique players, go ahead and watch Chris Boucher. He needs to get better of really drawing contact, which could be a struggle for him like for a couple years until we gain some weight. But we don't know if he has this type of physique, of course, or it's through his blood. You know, like you could eat all you want, you could like work out so much, but some people just stay skinny. But if he gets the right diet plan and he gets stronger, he's going to be really good for a long time. And I like what he brings to the game of basketball of Chris Boucher. Moving on, we have Darius Garland of the Cleveland Cavaliers. We know the whole situation over there with Colin Sexton. A lot of people were really like intrigued with this pick. Of course, you could say Darius Garland was the best player on the board coming out of Vanderbilt. Of course, sadly went down with some injuries. So you take a look at him, point guard coming out of college. He was known as this really good three-point shooter. He was actually getting comparisons to Damian Lillard, his ability to score the basketball and have infinity like range. But you really take a look at it, they drafted Colin Sexton in 2017, and I really had some speculation. I was like, how is that backcourt going to be? Because I don't really take a look at Colin Sexton as a true point guard, you know, and Darius Garland's still going to be learning, and that defense is going to be atrocious. But a lot of people hated on Darius Garland his first year But you think about it, just think about the bad coaching situation with V-Line, just the drama in the locker room. He's a rookie. He barely played college ball. So of course he is going to be rusty. People are even going as far as saying like he's the most inefficient rookie like in NBA history. People were saying he was one of the worst players in basketball, and he definitely deserves his respect this season, averaging over 15 points per game, really improving as a passer, being way more efficient. I just think he's been extremely disrespected like throughout his NBA career, or at least his short stint. Definitely went off to like had a shaky start his rookie year. Cavs fans were absolutely hating him, and of course he's going to be overlooked because the Cavs have been disappointing once again. We'll see what goes on to happen in this upcoming draft if they go out there and get one of those top caliber guys of a Jalen Suggs, draft another point guard, Cade Cunningham. We'll see what goes on to happen. Or of course they can go out there, get an Evan Mobley, Jonathan Kuminga, whoever they want. I was just naming off some top prospects, but I really do think Garland deserves some recognition. Good body control, gets to the rack, nice teardrop shot in his arsenal. He definitely has a great offensive bag, great handle as well. Still has some ways to go defensively, but he's definitely gotten better, and he definitely deserves some great recognition. And I wish he was in a better organization like the San Antonio Spurs, but they have their guy of DeJounte Murray over there. Alright, this one might be kind of biased, but I have Nerlens Noel of the New York Knicks. The reason why I put Noel on this list, you can call me biased, but when you literally think about it, he really has been one of the biggest dark horses when it comes to like these potential playoff teams this upcoming season. You think of Nerlens Noel coming out of Kentucky. This man was literally being mocked to #1 overall. And of course, like being mocked in that slot after that was like Victor Oladipo. Anthony Bennett wasn't even supposed to be going 1. He was actually being mocked like 7th and 8th. But yes, some fans or basketball fans really thought Nerlens Noel was going to be going #1 overall when it came to that draft, which is insane. He was a defensive stud coming out of Kentucky. They absolutely loved his length, they loved his height, and what he could bring to the game, great attitude. But you just think about the circumstances when it comes to New York Knicks. Mitchell Robinson goes down. Like, people really look at Mitchell Robinson as a starter of the future, or center of the future, of course, for the New York Knicks. Best, great, like, franchise center. His ability to rim run, really come off the screens and just throw down insane dunks, block shots, guard the perimeter. Nerlens Noel, he may not be the talent of Mitchell Robinson, but he does do some things better when it comes to his awareness in the paint and really timing block shots and not fouling as much, if you know what I'm saying. But sometimes he can get into foul trouble, even though Mitchell Robinson actually has brushed that up in his game. But yes, a lot of Knicks fans were like, great, Mitchell Robinson went down, this Knicks season's completely over. But Nerlens Noel was like, no, Knicks fans, we're going to be okay. Nerlens Noel enters that starting lineup, and it was a next man up mentality. He may not produce many points whatsoever, but he's been an absolute anchor, and the Knicks have actually gotten better as a basketball team. I'm not saying that's because of Mitchell Robinson. You could say the growth has been great overall as a team, just building that chemistry and really getting used to a coach of Tom Thibodeau, of course. But Nerlens Noel blocking shots, he's top 5 in the NBA. He's had some big time block shots down the stretch. Yes, he hasn't been scoring the basketball a lot, but that's never been his forte. But just the effect of winning basketball he's been putting like on the New York Knicks, of course, went to the playoffs with the Oklahoma City Thunder with that one stint. But just like his defense has been absolutely unbelievable. Clutch block after clutch block, and he's been bringing just absolute consistency and great leadership. But yeah, guys, those are actually the most underrated players in my opinion, like in the NBA. I actually do have a couple dark horses to really bring up real quick. The reason why Chris Paul was not in this video is because people still look at Chris Paul. Of course, he's one of the top point guards in the league, but I was gonna put him in this video just because of like he deserves to be in the MVP discussion, like in my opinion. Just his overall leadership, his court vision, what he's bringing to the game. He's proven time after time, even going to a young Oklahoma City Thunder team, that he could lead them to the playoffs as well. Just his overall leadership, commanding the troops, hitting clutch shots down the stretch, playing great defense on one of the best opposing players, like on the other team, of course. He's just been amazing. And I also wanted to bring in another dark horse of Kyle Anderson, of course, playing for the Memphis Grizzlies. The reason why I wanted to bring up Kyle Anderson is because you watch him play. He's so smart. He's so instinctive. Of course, he has some of the best instincts, but he always gets these jokes, or he always gets memed like as a trash player just because he's slow. But he's just such a smart basketball player, and he has these moves in his arsenal to find his way like to the cup, of course. And if he has a wide open 3, he's going to knock it down, and he's going to play solid defense. But those are like a couple of my dark horses. If you enjoyed the video, let me know down below in the comment section. I really appreciate your great amount of support, and peace out, y'all.